was thrown
Right
into
to the wall.
buildings. And Tom is with us now to talk more about this. And Tom, you also have more of what happened in the 11th hour that really spared us from similar images.
Yeah, I kind of went back and took a look at some of the changes that happened in the storm after it went through Haiti, went to the Bahamas, because it kind of went through this structural change. Let me try to explain this to you. This is kind of after the fact. We have a breather now. I can do something like this and show you kind of what we were looking at in real time when the storm was coming up the coast. And you can see, of course, it was just a full head of steam. And then the center of the storm got really big for a while, and we actually had a double eye wall, which doesn't happen very often except in very intense hurricanes, where you have the inner eye wall right through here, the outer eye wall that continues, and it was the inner eye wall that had the strongest winds that hit through Nassau and hit through Freeport, and this continued to move right on through. But what happened is that the inner eye wall, which is only about 9 miles across, this was 69 miles. I remember the observation from the reconnaissance. Watch the inner eye wall just kind of disappear, and then you have just one larger eye wall. So the outer eye wall kind of took over, but what happened, the winds went from 145 to 125. We literally lost a category of hurricane strength due to the fact that the inner eye wall went away. So that was the first thing. When we had the double eye wall structure, sometimes it doesn't disappear. Sometimes it's a double eye wall and it's a 145 and it goes up the coast. But it went through this, we could see the cycling going on and it would weaken. So then the advisories kind of went down from Cat 4 to Cat 3. So that was the first break that we got, if you want to call it that. Hurricane Winfield, though, expanded. Instead of the hurricane force winds, the worst winds around the core, it like expanded. So we had less wind, but it was over a much larger area. So that takes us through the morning hours. Then we had the timing is everything. The western eye wall did hit the coast. This was 120 miles per hour at the time, Category 3. You subtract the forward motion because the winds are kind of going against each other. So we subtracted 12, so 120, 12. So 108 should have been our peak winds. And we actually had a wind gust of 107, so it worked out just exactly like we thought. But this was during low tide, and we went back, George Wallenberger went back and looked at the water tide difference. 3 feet of 1 yard of water we did not have as far as the height. So that made the difference, I think, in some of the storm surge that we did not see along the coast. We had a lot, but it really wasn't quite as bad. Add another 3 feet onto what we would have had, and it would have been worse because the winds would have been stronger in Brevard County. But we did not have good timing with our friends to the north because the surge happened around noon during the high tide cycle. And that's why when we have the video that we've been showing you out of the St. Augustine area, they hit just at the wrong time. And you can see the high water, and a lot of that is not just freshwater rainfall, that is actually surge water coming on shore. And there was the shot we had earlier today from the bed and breakfast there where the water went completely up. It was probably 3 feet of water just out there. And that's the difference. That's 3 feet. And in that one particular area, based on the topography and the terrain and exactly how high things are and where the water is, that 3 feet made all the difference. And St. Augustine not only flooded there, but it flooded Flagler College, flooded the dorm. And we could actually see video from our Jacksonville affiliate. Look at that. Look at that water. And this was one of the aspects of the storm that we were looking at last night. I'm like, the first question I want to know is, when is the high tide? Because that's where the worst would be. So that's why we were expecting, and the Hurricane Center did great new maps. Our new storm surge, that was just a prototype, but we put it on the air anyway, showed the highest surge in our northern zones, and that was because of that high tide cycle. So back to the graphics for a minute. That's what St. Augustine went through earlier today, and that storm inundation continued all the way up, and especially the farther north we go through Flagler County, we had A1A that was eroded here. Then, of course, St. Augustine that took it very hard with the flooding that went through the storm. Quick update now, 1:10. The storm is going to hit at a high tide north around Brunswick and Savannah here to the south. And also, as it curls back around, I do not expect, however, guys, that this storm is going to come back and ruin the middle part of next week. It's going to probably weaken off the coast. But just an incredible storm, something we'll be studying here for a while, just kind of learning more about these cycling processes.
And Tom, it's been said before, but excellent work. It's been a pleasure to be by your side through this whole thing.
The storm was just incredible to study in real time.
And here's what I want you